focus now to matters aviation, where Kenya is eagerly anticipating the launch of direct flights to the U.S. in October this year. It's a journey that's taken close to 2 decades, but never has it been this close to taking off. Joining me now for a deeper look into this development is Kenya Airports Authority Managing Director Johnny Anderson. Welcome very much to the show.
Thank you so much.
This is a step that everyone is looking forward to. We know the dates have already been set, fares have been announced, but the question is, are we ready as a country for these direct flights to and from the US?
Yes, we are. All lights are green, and we have been now through different assessments already, and we have the last one now at the end of this month, starting from 21st of May until 25th of May. And that is the last inspection before we then will be given the final green light. So Kenya Airways can start flying directly to the United States in New York on 28th of October 2018.
Thank you very much. And you're saying this is the last assessment that is taking place. Just how significant is it, and what will the authorities be looking at when they jet in the next couple of days?
We had an assessment in late November last year where they were looking at all of the security aspects of the airport. Then they had so-called a few observations that they asked us to correct before we could start the flights to the United States. Now TSA is returning to do this, first of all to check that we have corrected the observations that they had, and then to do an extra assessment again, you know, like to look over if everything is ready, and then we will get the green light within June for the flights directly to the United States.
Okay, but this assessment that we are talking about here, I believe, revolving around the JKIA. But we also had other requirements that we had to meet before actually we reached where we are currently. Perhaps if you may just give us a highlight of what those other requirements were, including these JKIA issue as the last point of...
To get the so-called Category 1 status, it's actually four phases that you have to go through. First of all, there has to exist a bilateral agreement between the United States and Kenya that we agree that we will have civilian commercial flights between our countries. That has been signed. And then the second part is, of course, that our legislation has been adjusted, meaning that you have a separation, let's say, between Kenya Airports Authority that runs the airport and the regulator, which is JKIA. Previously, those two organizations were more or less located together, and now they are split and separated, both from a legal view but also from a physical point of view. And the third one is, of course, that Kenya Airways, the operating airline to the United States, gets the green light, and they have to fulfill all of these different requirements that they are putting on airlines. And the last one is, of course, the last point of departure, the departing airport to the United States. And right now it's only 4 airports in Africa that has it. On the world basis it's 280. So we are actually joining quite an exclusive club. And I can tell you it has been a long journey, but we are there now. It's just that little small thing now and to go.
Okay, and indeed becoming the 4th airport to actually be granted this approval. How significant is it for JKIA this far?
If you think about Nairobi, and if you think about Kenya, this is about global reach. Because right now we have 2 continents that we connect to. We have Europe, we are in Africa of course, we have Europe, and then we have Asia. But having this connection, direct flight to the United States, which is the 3rd continent, and think about it, we are talking about New York. It's one of the financial hubs, the most important one in the world, 10 million people, high yield and so on. And connecting Nairobi and New York, it's so important for the future of Kenya. It's so important for the future of business here. Can you imagine just like having the multinationals, where do they want to place their head office on this continent? By having that connection, you have global reach. And that makes it much more attractive to place your head office here in Nairobi.
Does that also mean that very soon we will see JKIA expand both in terms of capacity as well as even just the physical appearance of the same facility.
That's true. That's true. We capacity ceiling already now. We are close to 7.3 million passengers in total, and the capacity we are close to the capacity ceiling. We need to expand and develop our capacity. So yes, that's true. So we have in the pipeline several projects that undertake to make sure that we are reaching that capacity.
And it's a development that's happening at a time also when you're working around putting together a service charter, an airport service charter. I mean, what's the correlation between these two things, the developments in the global world where we have the direct flights as well as the service charter around airports?
We are an international airport, and we want to be compared to international airports out there. You know, Kenyans are flying now all over the world, and the world is visiting Kenya. We want them to recognize the service levels that they see in the, what can I say, the best airports in the, so here in Kenya. So what the journey that we have started, we started that some time ago, but the journey that we have started have now also ended up with a so-called service charter, where we have brought all of the agencies, all of the different stakeholders at the airport to commit to one airport, or one team, one airport, to make sure that the customer touch points and the customer experience traveling through or via or in and out of Jomo Kenyatta Airport is the best possible that we can achieve. We are doing a lot of things. We would like to be a little bit better than where we are, but we are improving day by day. And the service charter is there to actually support us and to make sure that we reach the target of being an international hub, the hub in East Africa, but at the same time also being on the customer service level that people are expecting from us, that Kenyans are.
What are the key highlights of this service charter, and when do we expect it to be ready? I believe it's supposed to be presented perhaps in the course of this week.
The service charter is already developed, and the highlights there is actually about coordination. You know, like, so instead of us operating in silos, let's say immigration, security for Kenya Airports Authority, or the police or customs and so on, we are coordinating our activities. We are making sure that we are actually we are supplying when there is a demand. So when there is what can I say, a high demand, when we have several aircrafts coming in at the same time, we make sure that we have enough staff available, and so we are able to take out the queues and make sure that we process things in an efficient way. And as I said, an airport is always about, you know, you have peaks, high peaks, and then you have actually hours where there's nothing happening, and then suddenly you have a huge peak again. So it's quite a challenge, you know, because also you have delays on flights, and flights are coming in different. So it's always a challenge. So that's why this coordination and having that commitment from everybody is so important to make sure that we actually deliver. Otherwise, we are looking at, we are putting up now a customer service center, or we are increasing the free Wi-Fi at the airport. So we would like it to be a pleasant experience to stay in our airport for 24 hours. So it's free now. So it's going to be implemented, I think, today. And we are doing a lot of, what can I say, improving the passenger flow, trying to customer contact points that is unnecessary, and trying to merge contact points so you have one instead of 2 or 3. Okay. So a lot of initiatives are being taken to reach that goal of being.
Do these initiatives include also perhaps protecting travelers from inconveniences as well as extortion, which have previously been reported amongst a section of workers within the airports?
It's true what you say. Yes, our passengers has experienced, you know, really bad experiences at our airports, and there are people at the airport soliciting them or harassing them for different reasons, you know, and this is something that we take very, very seriously, and this is something that we really are addressing together with the different agencies to make sure that we are eradicating it. So it is a long journey because it's about culture. Change takes time, but we are moving in that direction. And the feedback I get, of course, some of the feedback is still negative, and we're trying to take that as seriously as we can and approach the different incidents with measures and mitigations, and also take the people that are involved in this. But we're starting to get better and better feedback, and we are measuring now on a weekly basis to make sure that we are reaching our target when it comes to corruption.
And so will people see perhaps issues to do with arrests and punishments should they be mishandled at the airport? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I'm asking, will you take steps such to ensure if you're involved in aspects of corruption, extortion, or inconveniencing passengers, that legal steps are going to be taken against you as a worker within the airport?
Yes. That's an unconditional yes from the MD of Kenya Airports Authority. And that also goes for my own employees. And we are correcting people, and we are also letting people go, and also reporting them to the police when we have clear evidence that we have a situation that has been, what can I say?
So that means people should actually expect more improved services going forward, especially after the official presentation of the service charter.
Yeah. It's also very important that we're now establishing the customer service center, and if people are experiencing being harassed, then please contact us, come and report it, or call us. There are also telephone numbers, like you can see around the airport. Call us or go to the customer service center and let us know. We will try to also support different languages to make sure that also our guests that are visiting this country and the airport is also getting the support that they need to be able to report it in a proper manner, so we can take proper action and help them in that very, very unfortunate situation. But we are working really hard on this one, and it's really something that is hard to simply take out from Jomo. It really affects us in a bad way.
I get it. And with all these developments, I wonder whether we have more airlines actually showing interest of actually using JKIA as a hub when it comes to the operations. I mean, those developments are quite eye-catching.
What you can see now is that more and more airlines are contacting us, like for operating new routes, and airlines are also operating new routes. Like we had Air France just recently opening the flight directly to Paris. We airlines that is, first of all, they contact us quite discreetly to begin with, just to see what kind of opportunities exist and so on, and ask for information. But we have several airlines being very focused on wanting to fly to Nairobi, because it's an attractive market. It is a fantastic destination, and people really want to fly and visit Kenya.
I get it. And what's your plan? You have quite a vast experience when it comes to airport operations and management. What's your plan for Kenyan airports, even as we wind up this interview?
I think, first of all, we need to look at the Kenyan airports as one network. The airport, the main airport is Jomo Kenyatta, and that one feeds into the other one. But in many ways, the network needs to develop, but we have to do it in a sustainable way, focusing on the airport that actually also generates, what can I say, value, both to the countries but also to the entire network of airports in Kenya. But this is a continuous journey, and this is a continuous improvement project that we are also working on when it comes to the airport. So.
Okay, and Isiolo Airport is actually one of your highlights when you took over the management of KAA. What is it currently? Do you have operations taking place there? Have you sorted out the issues that actually proved to be bottlenecks soon after the airport's upgrade was completed?
Yeah, we opened the airport back in July, and then the first flight started to fly. Flight 540, Flight 6 started to fly in September, and right now they have flights per week. It's not impressive. I would like it to be a little bit more than 4 flights per week, but it is like any other business. It takes time before you actually establish that route is established, so people know that, yes, I can fly, and then they start to use it in a different way than by car or so on. When it comes to Isiolo, we also have plans to develop the cargo business at Isiolo. So our next focus is actually to put up a cargo shed, so we are able to actually transport Mira from Isiolo to other destinations. That also means that we take out some of this transportation that goes on the road today to, let's say, Wilson Airport or to other airports, because it is kind of a lot of transportation that is continuing on our roads. And by locating it, relocating it to Isiolo, having that mira being transported straight from Isiolo instead of out of other centers, it will really help both the community with creating jobs, you know, like making it more efficient and higher productivity to do it out of Isiolo than doing it out of other areas.
But what really is the problem here, Anderson? Because we have Isiolo, it has been upgraded, it's now better than it was. We have Kisumu International Airport, it's an international airport, but then again you go down at the Lake region, you realize that operations actually closed quite early. It's not being utilized to its capacity. What is it that is hurting all these other airports besides JKIA?
I have to say that many of our airport is underutilized. That's a fact. That's absolutely a fact.
And the question is why?
Yeah, the reason for that one is there is not enough demand. That's simply that's the right answer. So in many ways what we need to do is we have to focus on building traffic to the different airports. But also many of these airports are also very close to actually compete with each other. So we have to look at how and where we locate them or put airports in a way from a larger holistic point of view when it comes to aviation, the aviation sector in Kenya. In general, you can say that in the aviation sector you have something, an airport has something called a catchment area. And the way that you measure a catchment area is that you take a car and you drive 2 hours in 360 degrees. And that's the so-called catchment area of an airport. If you then end up with having another airport in that catchment area, those two are competing. And we do, unfortunately, have some airports that are competing today. We need to look at it from a different perspective to make sure that we have viable, sustainable aviation airports being built and being maintained and being administered and operated.
So does that mean that we will have to do with just the airports that we to see whether we can boost operations and capacity utilization, or are we seeing you looking at opening a whole new wide range of other airports in other parts of the country?
The strategic approach that we have now, first of all, our focus is last point of departure and getting you know, the American flights up and running. Those are us. But the last part of this year, I am planning to do a strategic approach towards how should we put together our network of airports in the country for the benefit of all. And it could be that I will come with some unpopular assessment, but I think we really need to be prudent and sober when we are approaching the airport issues in Kenya. Because it may be that we are building too many. Maybe we should focus on fewer. Or maybe there's areas where we don't have service today where we should have service. Hopefully I can come back in half a year and talk about that one.
Okay, we will see. We'll try and make time half a year from now and see whether we'll have something to talk about. And all the best in those aspirations of transforming Kenya's airports.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's Mr. Johnny Anderson, the Managing Director at KAA. We now take a very break, but don't go away. We'll be coming back with much more.